when the fastest motorsport in the world comes to the Nevada desert. Sometimes things go wrong.
Attention all aircraft emergency in progress.
Let me know when all races are off the course. 70 got a lot of smoke.
All aircraft, runway 1432 is fouled.
Got the races in sight. Turning towards music. Emergency vehicles are now on the scene.
You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno, Tahoe.
Well, sometimes at the highest level, you push the envelope, and sometimes you win, and sometimes stuff gets broken. That's part of racing at the championship level. That's what brings all these people here to the STIHL National Championship Air Races. 6 classes of aircraft competing, one of the unique dimensions of this wonderful, one-of-a-kind event. Been going on now for 55 years. The very best pilots, the most dedicated teams, and the greatest fans in the world. That is the magic combination. I'm Tommy Sanders here with airshow pilot and announcer, the wild thing, Steve Stavrakakis. Steve, great to have you.
Tommy, thanks. It's great to be back, and welcome back, race fans, to the Friday edition of the world's fastest motorsport, Reno Race Week 2018. Hey, let's start out with our biplanes. Again, they're on a 3.5-mile course right here in front of our fans. They start out with the Grand Prix style standing start directly in front of us on runway 8. They take off. They'll go one full lap. After one full lap, when they pass the steel start-finish pylon, now their race starts counting. So again, left turn, race on.
Biplane is unique. Of course, all these 6 classes are unique, and the biplane is not the biplanes you may remember from old movies about the barnstorming days. These are little, compact, really quarter horses in the sky, so nimble. The only time they have trouble, seemingly, is on the deck. And here we go with the start. This is critical.
Yeah, these are all sport biplanes, Tommy, and the way they're as fast as they are on the ground and in the air, they're likened to hummingbirds on crack. Okay, this is a great example here where the crew chiefs could try and outthink our fastest qualifier, that being Andrew Bueller in the modified Mong Sport Phantom race number 62. He didn't start yesterday because of some mechanical issues, so he's starting from the back of the field today. So our other competitors here, their crew chiefs may choose to go with a flatter pitch prop, start out in a lower gear per se. It'd be like starting your bicycle in first gear. You're going to get out, get that jump ahead of him, whereas he's probably going to go for that longer, faster run like he usually does. So let's watch and see who chooses what prop.
The white and silver one in the lead right there. That is Scott Thompson in race 2A, because we did not have a 1A race. He was the winner in that one. Second hand, a great story behind that, and the first win here for Scott Thompson. So he's playing sort of in an inspired way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these are all sport biplanes, so they all have to have 2 wings, 360 cubic inch air-cooled engines, no funny fuel, no turbochargers, no superchargers, fixed pitch prop, fixed landing gear.
All these planes are pits except one Mong, and here comes the Mong right now, that legendary plane, the Phantom, with 11 championships. Andrew Bueller, who started with an 8-second deficit. Look at him eat up the rest of this field, Steve.
This Phantom biplane, the highly modified Mong Sport, built by Tom Aberley, is a good 20 miles an hour faster than everybody else in the field, but they look like stationary objects when Bueller comes by them in that Mong Sport.
Starting in the 8th position, look how quickly he has made it up to right behind second place. He's now in 3rd place right now. Just an unbelievable display of power from this dominant biplane. Speed at will, and look at him already coming from behind, putting pressure on the first 2 planes. Actually, he's in 2nd place, the first plane. Scott Thompson, the only obstacle remaining between him and the lead. So Andrew Bueller on a rampage. It's not hard to figure out who the school bully, figuratively speaking, here is. It's Andrew Bueller.
That's true. You know, all these biplanes are all running 14 gallons of fuel. They all have a minimum weight of 500 pounds. Again, half the weight of a Harley Davidson. The difference is this Mong Sport being all composite like it is. There's no fabric. There's very little wood in it. Very little steel in it. It's a carbon fiber composite design. You can see the profile of that wing there, how much faster it looks than the long chord, short sport biplane wings and a normal pit special. Again, this is a hybrid airplane. Nobody's going to catch it when it's 30 miles an hour faster than they are.
Now, 6 laps that comprise this race, it took him 2 laps and change in order to come from last place to first place, and now his business now is just stretching out that lead, just making it look easy.
If they keep this airplane running as good as it is right now, yeah, they're going to have 12 titles at the end of the week.
Well, Phantom is a purpose-built airplane. We constructed it, partner Tom Averly and myself, we constructed this as a racing airplane. Most of the other biplanes on here are originally designed for aerobatics. This is not designed for aerobatics, although it could take the same stresses. We purpose-built it for racing here at Reno.
Look at the closure speed of Andrew Bueller on the rest of the field, like they're stationary targets.
There's the battle for second place right there. John D'Alessandris and Scott Thompson battling it out. They've been reduced to that after Scott Thompson notched his first victory in the preceding heat for this class.
But don't worry, the fans are still getting their money's worth. Look back in second place at the race we have going on here. The fans are definitely getting their money's worth back here.
Look at this battle now for second place. Andrew Bueller's already locked the race up.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
But now we do have a race now, and it is absolutely Scott Thompson and John D'Alessandris. This is back and forth, as tight as you'll ever see it.
Boy, I'll tell you what, the fans are getting their money's worth out of this one. Look back at the race for a second. This is the second first place. Look at him go through. Okay, it's Scott Thompson trying to hold off John D'Alessandris. Is he going to do it?
You made the call, Steve. I couldn't tell who got who on that one.
You know, Tommy, it looked like John D'Alessandris got him, but I'm going to let the contest committee make that call. It was too close.
All right, Scott Thompson, the winner of the first heat in this class, reduced to third place right there, but hats off to Andrew Bueller. He made it happen. When we come back, the propellers that break the sound barrier, T6, is on the way.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races is presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit renotahoe.com. Come visit the 56th Annual Air Races this September. Lock in your tickets at airrace.org. And brought to you by STIHL, the #1 selling brand of gasoline-powered handheld outdoor power equipment in America. It's the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe.
Midtown, the brewery and restaurant district of Reno Tahoe. The entertainment and nightlife experience has grown exponentially over the last few years. Local food, brews, and spirits mixed with live music, theater, and comedy to create a fresh and electrifying atmosphere both day or night.
A crowd favorite, back again, the T6 class. The Army Air Corps version was the T6, the Navy and Marines were the SNJ, and the Canadian versions were called the Harvard. They're big, they're heavy, they're tough, the advanced trainer from World War II. With a 42-foot wingspan, 29 feet long, with 50 gallons of gas and a pilot, 4,000 pounds, powered by the Pratt & Whitney 1,340 cubic inch air-cooled radial engine.
This is the beginning of a routine flight of Army training planes. These cadets are learning fast and will soon be full-fledged flying members of the Army Air Corps. A chance to help the Army Air Forces throw a punch that'll knock Hitler and Tojo bow-legged.
Well, today, Hitler and Tojo are the last thing on our pilots' minds. As they come in, enter the course from left to right or west to east. They will be line abreast formation as they enter our course from the left. Right in front of the grandstands, when they cross the steel start-finish pylon, the clock starts. Watch the first turn, nothing but props, wings, and canopies. It gets awful crowded in turn 1 for the T6s.
Watch the bumps. Gentlemen, you are released to the course.
Released onto the course, a 5-mile oval directly in front of the grandstands right here at Reno Stead.
Well, I tell you what, racing in those sleek F1s and those sport class, those innovative planes is one thing. It takes some special kind of grit to get out there and get these heavy tail draggers and race all out, Steve.
Yeah, this is a two-handed airplane. I've had a chance to fly a T6 a little bit from the rear seat. And again, both hands on the stick. It's a lot of airplane, a lot of them in this race.
Let's listen as they pass the third pylon.
The distinct sound of the T6 class, the low rumble of the 1,340 cubic inch air-cooled Pratt & Whitney radial, drowned out by the propeller tips of that 9-foot metal propeller going supersonic, creating many sonic booms. Now, a stock Pratt & Whitney engine on a T6 usually makes about 550 continuous horsepower, 6,000 on takeoff. In race form, these guys are turning them up, making 800 to 850 horsepower, quite over the manufacturer's recommended horsepower settings, Tommy.
Pole position starter Eric Welbing hanging in there in first place. Right behind him is Gene McNeely of Port Orange, Florida, the baby boomer. Race number 89. Actually, in this race, kind of unique, this heat right here, because we have an actual father and son duo. Gene McNeely and son Greg McNeely. That'll be race 90, and the undecided here. They are our Reno Tahoe top guns from visit renotahoe.com.
Gene McNeely, I race number 89. My son Greg races 90 here, the Honda racer. And we've been competing for the last 3 or 4 years. And I beat him last year. And I told him, well, if you pass me, you're going to lose your inheritance. He said, well, there ain't much of that. So he's after me. He's right behind me. Here's Greg. Come here, Greg. My son Greg flies this airplane.
Hey, how you doing? Greg McNeely.
No inheritance?
And if I beat him, no.
We've got an understanding on that. No, we're all as fast as we can go. We're tweaking them every minute, trying to get a little more speed, but we're real close.
No, that's a great experience. Yeah, he taught me how to fly, so I'm real proud to be out here with him.
White flag, white flag.
The McNeelys, father and son, having a great week here. And hey, it's white flag time. We are entering lap number 5 of 5, still out in front. Eric Welbing, Miss TNT, race 27 from Franksville, Wisconsin. Having a pretty easy go of it here. Well, that hard work is paying off for him. Gene McNeely, solidly in second place right now.
But as with every other race we've had, there's always a race within the race, and this is one of the reasons the crowd loves the T6s. Look at the battle for third place, Tommy.
Yeah, Walker, William Walker from Metairie, Louisiana, and Greg McNeely, the son, who we just met there from Port Orange, Florida. Those two back and forth, and man, oh man, it is tightening up as our time is running out in this race.
There's a great shot. Once again, you can throw a blanket over both these airplanes. They are a lot closer than you realize, folks. Look how tight they are.
These big planes may seem a little heavy, a little unwieldy, but boy, at the hands of these experienced, these dedicated pilots, we can do amazing things, and we've got an amazing battle going on right now. Once again, Eric Welbing from Wisconsin, looking very, very good. He won the previous heat, and he's odds on to win this one. Should be no problem for him right there. Hats off to Eric in race number 27.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
Taking it right by the start-finish pylon right here. Great job as he heads closer and closer to a possibility of making it into the gold class. But right here, this battle for third.
The fans are all watching. Check this out, Tommy. Oh, no, we got another photo finish. I'm not calling that one.
Oh, was it Greg McNeely? Was it William Walker? Oh, one more look at it right there. I can't tell you. I can't tell you, Steve. That's why we have a race committee. That's why we have a competition committee. And let's see. Yes, it's going to be the McNeelys finishing second and third there.
Second, third.
William Walker coming in fourth place. Coming up next. Hey, there's not room for us in the cockpit, but we're getting in there anyway. Right along. Formula One, the final heat before the gold round. That is on the way.
You found the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
Talk about a place for some fresh air. It is an outdoor mecca, this Reno Tahoe area. Great rafting on the Whitewater, the Truckee River. Look at the meadows where the mountain biking takes place above the city here. Obviously, golfing in the desert is an absolute treat. That and so many other options, an absolute treat for these fans here. They are here in droves, and they are getting ready for a real treat in the form of Formula One racing, the little ones, the original racing planes. And hey, we got trouble on the deck, Steve.
You know, Tommy, these airplanes, they're going for the goal of 500-pound minimum weight. They don't even have starters on these aircraft on the engines. You see, they have to hand prop them. And we've got a problem here. 6-time winner Steve Senegal's airplane will not start. If he doesn't get going here pretty quick, they're going to pull him from the starting lineup since he's on the front row, as they're doing right now. Steve Senegal's out of the race. Now, he's obviously a crowd favorite. He's fast enough qualifier to end up in the silver race, and if he wins the silver race, he can bump back to the gold. But this is a huge setback and adds a race to his week.
Yeah, it made the mountain just a whole lot more difficult to climb for Steve Senegal if he wants to stretch his win streak to 7.
But, you know, don't count him out. In the meantime, let's go back to the cockpit. We're with Justin Metters right now, who obviously is smiling inside now because his odds just got a whole lot better.
We saw Justin Metters do very well in the heat that preceded this back in show number 1, on day number 1 of racing that we showed you here. And I tell you what, all the potential in the world, and he can strike another big blow here today.
Yeah, now if this is your first time with us, these aircraft are racing the 3.5-mile course. They had the Grand Prix style standing start that you saw. These airplanes are descendants of the 1936 midget racing class that first started in 1947. They're all running a minimum 200 cubic inch engine. It's a Continental O200 engine, meaning a posed 200 cubic inch Boxster style, much like an old Volkswagen air-cooled engine. They've got fixed landing gear and a fixed pitch propeller. Pilot and airplane combined have to weigh at least 500 pounds. 150 pounds of it have to be the pilot and gear. And again, not a problem because most of these pilots haven't seen that since the 4th grade.
Lowell Slater is the defending champion, won back in 2017 from Buell, Iowa, race 31. He's the guy in the lead right now, but everything's pretty tight for the moment.
Yeah, Justin Meadows is having the week of his life here. Okay, here he is right now. We're in the cockpit with Justin. Look at off to his left there. That's Lowell Slater. Justin's got his eyes on him, and he knows if he stays outside of him, he's not going to have any pylon cuts, which we haven't talked much about that, Tommy, but the pylon cuts, there's a contest committee under these pylons. If you cut inside their field of vision, you're penalized. And in a race this tight, that could be the end of you.
Absolutely. You could lose a race on the basis of that. Kind of low tech, but it seems to work. It seems to be a pretty fair system, and everyone is agreeing to it. Again, Justin Meadows, the winner of the first heat, right on the tail of the defending champion, Lowell Slater.
Stock form in a Cessna 150. It turned 2,750 RPM, made 100 horsepower. Right now, Justin Meadows is turning almost 4,500 RPM, making over 160 horsepower. Now listen to the sound of that Continental O200.
Watch him in action, and Justin Meadows on that subject there. You have to say, he's a heck of a racer. His rise to the top of this class has been meteoric. You saw the graphic just a moment ago, only second year, a couple of years of racing under his belt right there. Another thing to consider is that Justin Meadows is a paraplegic pilot. Everything in his plane, that Snowshoe SR1 Limitless, is built for him and his particular challenges. It doesn't resemble the other planes at all. He is quite remarkable, and because of that fact, because of his abilities, he is well recognized by his fellow pilots, including the man he's chasing right now, Lowell Slater.
Justin was a rookie the first year that he raced, of course, and that is his sole racing experience. Built his own airplane and is running in the top of the gold. So a pretty spectacular accomplishment. It's very, very, very difficult to do that. It's extremely difficult, even with experience, a lot of experience, to build a brand new airplane and put it right straight to the top of the goal. It's just very difficult to do. So yeah, pretty spectacular achievement.
White flag, white flag.
Some timely comments right there as these two, Lowell Slater and Justin Meadows, are going to duel it out in the final lap. That's where we are in this race.
You know, great camera footage, great racing. The crowd is getting their money's worth out of this race alone. Watch how close these guys are. They've been this way. You've been able to throw a blanket over the entire race. Both of them keeping an eye on each other. What a race. Spectacular. Formula One racing.
The higher plane there is the plane of Justin Meadows, race 34.
Lowell Slater's flying the shorter Corso, and that's a huge advantage when your airplanes are this evenly matched. These are both second-gen carbon fiber Formula One racers, not the fabric-covered ones like the old cassette and shoestrings were.
Coming down to it right now. Meadows can dive at this point, but is it too late? Yes, he was too late getting there, so this one's going to belong to Lowell Slater. What a great job holding off Justin Meadows, who is obviously a serious contender in this Formula One class.
It was a really tight race with us today. It was a lot of fun to be involved with. Lowell is an amazing pilot, and I was getting the stack right on top of him and watch how consistent he was flying. And I lost sight of him one time and had to blow the turn a little bit, which cost me, obviously. But every lap he was on the perfect line every time, so I just have to fly better and maybe find a little more speed somewhere.
Yesterday I was beat by Limitless by a couple inches. Today I beat Limitless by a couple of inches, I think. Good race. He was right there the whole entire race. I'm telling everybody I got a big crick in my neck from going like this. So anyways, yeah, that's racing at its best right there.
Well, when we come back, please come back, because it's going to be exciting, tight racing. In fact, 3 wide across the finish line. Sport class when we return.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races is presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit RenoTahoe.com. Oris, the official timekeeper of the National Championship Air Races. And brought to you by STIHL, maker of the #1 selling brand of chainsaw worldwide.
The STIHL National Championship Air Races, this great backdrop we have here in the desert of Nevada, Reno Tahoe, the desert and the mountains, I should say. So many diversions, so many reasons to come here as a wonderful vacation destination for outdoors lovers. It is the perfect spot. So much diversity, the desert atmosphere, the alpine atmosphere, the endless roadways, and so much to see. Even from above, a beautiful sight here at Reno Tahoe.
Yeah, not to mention some of the fastest air races and most competitive air races you're ever going to see anywhere in the world today. Jay Obernolte's beautiful Embraer Phenom 300 just released our sport class onto the track. They're now in the drag race, running down to the guide pylon. As we talked about before, they have to stay in their respective lanes. They can accelerate ahead of the airplane next to them if possible, but they can't make the turn until right now when they get that guide pylon. Now it's a sharp high G left turn and race on. And the race on it's going to be. These airplanes are so evenly matched. They're all composite aircraft, airframes, being powered by 6-cylinder air-cooled engines.
8 pilots, 8 teams in this race here. 3 women pilots, including Vicki Benzing and lucky girl number 15, Jessie Panzer, the cruise missile, race 13, and Chiwami Takagi Reed. 0, the legacy. Van Hatten, Panzer, and Benzing at the end of lap 1. That was the snapshot there. End of lap 2, the very same story. Van Hatten, Panzer, and Benzing. And guess what? After 3, status quo, Van Hatten, Panzer, and Benzing. But boy, this is good, tight racing here, Steve.
Now, one of the things to keep in mind, too, when our racers go 3 wide, it's not like car racing where it gets a little crowded in the turn. On the inside, if Van Patten crowds that pylon too close, he could be disqualified for busting the pylon. Now, Vicki Benzing on the outside, if she goes too wide and breaks the deadline, the crowd line out there, she could be disqualified for going too wide. So when you get 3 airplanes wide like that, it gets to be a very, very tight track, especially at the speed these guys are all moving, guys and gals.
It's definitely been a 3-airplane race at the top right there. Looks very familiar, except Vicki Benzing has now taken over the lead.
Vicki made a heck of a move back there. You bet she did. She made a heck of a move on the backside. Vicki Benzing is a very, very popular airshow pilot. She flies everything from helicopters to jets. She flies the family Stearman. She and husband Jeff own some airplanes, including the Stearman, as well as an extra 300 that Vicki flies shows in. Very, very talented pilot. Very competitive, as you can see here. Again, she went around that 3-ship formation for about 3 laps in a row, made her move, and is now making a run for it.
White flag, white flag.
Well, this is the race to set up the pole positions for the final silver medal race here. So Vicki Benzing, to win this one, would be a very important achievement right here, and is looking good at this point.
It's a beautiful Lancer Legacy that she's flying.
Take a look at the backstretch on this final lap. This battle for second place is 3 wide. Carl Grove reels in Jessie Panzer. Now he's got his eyes on Van Hatten. Going to trade that altitude for airspeed, and he's passed him to take over second place on the final lap. And this is the chance for Vicki Benzing to shut him down here and move into that pole position for the silver race on the final day.
What a great job. Great job by Vicki Benzing.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
And it looks like she's going to get her done right here. One of the great performances of this great week here in Reno. Performance that I think all of us would deem worthy of being called the STIHL Power Move of the Week. Average speed of 288.408 miles per hour. We got the jets on the way from Reno.
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
No doubt about it, part of the success of this great event is the location. Reno Tahoe is everything. Festivals, food, food is major here. How about the great Reno Balloon Race, the largest free balloon race of its kind in the entire world? What a spectacle to see these balloons working their way across the desert floor, and we're going real fast across the desert floor now, Steve.
Yeah, we sure are, Tommy. We're going jet racing to the tune of just under 500 miles an hour. The jet class is limited to production turbojet aircraft, non-swept wings, non-afterburning aircraft, but again, pushing the 500-mile-an-hour limit. However, they can't exceed 525. That is the safe course limit set by the FAA. The course is the 8-mile unlimited jet course as well. They're going to go around Peavine Mountain in echelon formation. When they get to the chute, our pace plane is going to bring them down the chute in wing abreast or line abreast formation. At that point, the pace plane is going to pull up. They have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. Let's go to the cockpit in the chute right now with Scott Farnsworth.
34 degrees of turn, starting down. Here comes our speed. Look at the gentlemen, bring it forward. Come out on the line. Gold jet race, heat 2A. Gentlemen, you have a race.
Well, as you said before, Steve, this is the fastest of the classes, and people are on their feet for this one for sure.
Yeah, they're going down the chute right now. They've been released onto the course. They have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. That's the light on the mountain directly ahead of them. Once they get to that light, which is right about now, it's a high G turn onto the course. Now they can change positions and jockey for the lead. American Spirit one more time on that inside line, giving another exhibition in air racing. Only this time, it's not Rick Vandam, our 4-time champ in the cockpit. He qualified that airplane in first place. He actually won the first heat race with it, but he's turned over the piloting duties to his teammate, Mike Steiger.
Yeah, they did that some last year, I believe. Worked out very well. A good plane is a big part of it.
Well, you know, I got to say, Rick Vandam keeps telling me that he is the winning ingredient that has put that airplane in first place. But, you know, Tommy, I'm thinking it might be the airplane.
Of course, they have the pole position based on an overwhelming win in the first heat.
Now, keeping Steiger very, very honest is our good friend Pistol Pete Zaccanino. He's in an L-29, both airplanes built by the Aero Vodahody plant in Czech Republic. Mike is flying the L-39, the more complex, newer version. The big brother to the L-29. The L-29 is the Delphin jet, built by the same factory, but less sophisticated. It has control cables in it for the control systems, a lot lighter aircraft, but it's also 800 pounds less thrust in the engines.
Pete Zaccanino taking on the big plane in this class, that is for sure. He is a great pilot. That also is for sure, but he'll be the first to give the full credit to a very, very committed crew. They make it happen for him.
Without my team, this doesn't happen. The team is everything. They're down there working on the plane, they're checking on things, they're making sure the little things, down to charging the golf cart. You know, it's very routine, but man, without it, it's a problem. And lunch, dinner, all of that stuff that they do that's not glamorous, that team makes all the glamour happen. My team operation is roughly 25 people, and they're really good at knowing their roles. Someone runs back the 7:30 briefing schedule, gets it to the team so they know how the day's gonna go. They schedule the events, they clean the plane, they put the nitrogen in for the brakes, they check the fuel and oil, make sure everything's ready and race ready, they check the parachute. And then if we have issues like the sport plane's having, we work on it, and we never compromise safety.
White flag, white flag.
Boy, did Pete put that in perspective. You know, a great team in any form of motorsports will help bring great results, Tommy.
Well, we're watching Pete right now, and he's been trying throughout the length of this race to take down the ultimate favorite, American Spirit, that L-39 Albatross. Pete and the Just Lucky, the L-29 Delphin. And Pete is good, but I tell you what, he is up against a formidable team right there. So team versus team, it's still going to be Mike Steiger and American Spirit. And barring anything happening, and look, Pete's got some altitude in his arsenal here, so he might be able to do something, but I tell you what, it would be most improbable if he's able to take down American Spirit here, the 5-time champion in Reno.
From the camera perspective, it almost looked like he was going to be able to trade that altitude for some airspeed and get by, but Mike Steiger's flying a great line. He's down low, he's in tight, he's forcing Pete to fly a longer course in that smaller airplane. Just not going to happen.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
Well, Pete Zaccanino keeps it close. We appreciate that. And hats off, though, to the dominant team, the American Spirit and Mike Steiger, but less than a mile an hour faster than Pete Zaccanino. In the sport class, there is also a dominant team over the last decade, and we'll see if anyone has what it takes to challenge them. The fastest of the sport class is coming up next.
You're watching the STIHL National Championship Air Races presented by Reno Tahoe.
It is that magic week, that 1 week when this little airfield north of Reno in the desert becomes its own city and not a small city. Huge crowds, 1 million or more through the years have visited the Reno air races, and it is a spectacle, a one-of-a-kind American event. These teams come here, the only place in the world when you find closed pylon racing with these 6 discrete different classes. That's the big appeal here. We're gonna hit a class right now that's the biggest of all of them in terms of numbers.
Okay, moving up line of rest and starting down the chute, got about 10 more degrees. And start accelerating. There's 210 on the way up. Okay, try to move it up a bit. Looking good, there's 230. All right.
You heard it, folks. The world's fastest home builts are on the course. And fast, oh yeah. Every one of these airplanes out here are faster than a stock P-51 Mustang. Unheard of. They are all built in your garage. They have to be any kit or amateur built aircraft. Engines have to be less than 1,000 cubic inches and speeds capable of over 200 miles per hour, which is not a problem considering our leaders have been going over 400 miles an hour the last couple of years. Yeah, our reigning champion and 6-time champion at over 407 miles an hour is Jeff Lavelle in race number 39. However, the last couple of years, he's had a lot of heat on his tail by our STIHL entry. That's Andrew Findlay in race number 30, our Lancer Legacy. Yeah, he's clipped the wings. He's even removed the graphics from the top of the wing because they were actually bunching up and disturbing the airflow. So again, he's really making an all-out effort to dethrone Jeff Lavelle in race number 39 right here.
Certainly gave him a good race in the race preceding this one. That would be 1A in the sport class. Again, the sport class is very fast growing, and half of the show is really a salute to traditional aviation, and the other half is a nod to innovation moving forward in the future, and I think that's what the sport class represents.
Well, one of the reasons the sport class is so popular, these airplanes are versatile. I mean, these aren't just dedicated race planes you fly 1 week out of the year. These are very, very fast personal airplanes. A lot of them are aerobatic, so they're very versatile to be flown all year long and then come out and race on the weekend.
Well, you can see in third place right there, the steel plane in front there, that's Andrew Findlay, but moving up on him, one of our 2 European entries in this, and that is Peter Balmer from Switzerland in Swiss Thunder, the Thunder Mustang, and he's moving in quite quickly on Andrew Findlay. Obviously, this team, the steel team, not doing the big things they were doing in the first race.
Well, you know, Andrew Findlay has done so much modification to this airplane to dethrone Jeff Lavelle. It kind of leads me to believe that he's way down on power for whatever reason. Now, these airplanes, most of them are, as a matter of fact, Lavelle and Findlay, they're both running flat 6s, Lycoming and Continental, twin turbocharged with ADI, anti-detonation injection systems on these airplanes. If any of these systems drop offline, you're going to see what you just saw here, and that's one of our fast airplanes getting past.
Yeah, Pete Balmer moving into third place right there. Jeff Lavelle still way out in front of the rest of his competition. This is a familiar sight here in the sport class, that is for sure. The sport class drawing a lot of pilots, the future of the sport. We asked Jeff, why?
The sport class seems like it's gaining some inertia, some momentum. I think the economy might be getting a little bit better, so you see more participants. The sport classes, I think, has benefited a lot from the steel chainsaw company. Bringing in steel was great. You know, this sport, we need all the help we can get, you know, and now with TV coverage, that was, you know, that's the first time I've seen it really. So I think it's all positive stuff, you know, and some of these newer, younger guys are getting faster every year and bringing in new technologies. So it's, you know, if you don't keep moving, you probably get passed up, you know.
Yeah. White flag, white flag.
Back to Jeff Lavelle on the course right now and totally in command, Steve. And I guess he would have to be considered the vanguard guy in terms of innovation, which defines this whole class.
Yeah, he's flying an older design in that Glass Air 3. The Lance Airs are a newer design, a little bit slicker overall. He is our 6-time champion. Andrew Findlay, this has to be a real letdown for the entire Steel team for the fact that they were putting at Jeff's heels all week long until this race. Now, these guys are modern-day test pilots. The airplanes are experimental category, and every flight is an experiment. Now, perhaps Findlay and his team took too big a bite in trying to advance, and they're going to have to take a smaller bite of the elephant because whatever they did before this race isn't working. Lavelle's walking away with it again.
Here's the final official lap of the race. Jeff Lavelle, totally dominant. 6 out of the last 9 races, the last 9 years have been won by this pilot right here and this airplane. the Super Glass Air 3. And just no problem at all.
Checkered flag.
Walk in the park for Jeff Lavelle. He's moving on with the pole position in the gold round. There's your official. It's in the books right now. 388 miles an hour. That is dominant. That is dominant against the rest of this field. Coming up next, this is not auto racing. You don't want to swap paint when you're flying these jets here, but occasionally, it happens.
Attention all aircraft emergency in progress.
Let me know when all races are off the course. 70 got a lot of smoke.
All aircraft, runway 1432 is followed.
What happens next when we return?
The STIHL National Championship Air Races is presented by Reno Tahoe. Visit renotahoe.com. Come visit the 56th Annual Air Races this September. Lock in your tickets at airrace.org. And brought to you by STIHL. Built in America, believing in America.
Crowds here are absolutely sensational. This is a bucket list for anyone who's interested in motorsports of any kind, not just air racing. You don't have to be an airplane fanatic to enjoy what goes on here. The racing is tremendous, the competition, and the airplanes are unbelievable, Steve.
It's a motorsports extravaganza, Tommy. It's my favorite week of the year by far.
Fastest motorsport in the world. This is the Jet 2B. We got one more race, one more on our dance card for today, and it's always exhilarating to watch these big planes maneuver around so deftly.
Yeah, once again, the Jets are on an 8-mile course. They're going to go around Peavine Mountain in echelon formation, go up into line abreast formation. Our pace plane will pull up, releasing them on the course. They have to stay in their respective lanes until they get to the guide pylon. Once they get to the guide pylon down on the other side of the desert, it's race on. Here we go.
We had a great race in this class, the B class, the silver class last time, between Jeff Turney and Bob McCormick, both Reno residents flying these jets here. Robin won, and McCormick Athena, race number 1.
Local boys, no strangers to this Reno course, be pushing speeds just under 500 miles an hour. Bright yellow wings of Robin 1 down low, the white wings of Bob McCormick just above him. Again, as they get ready to hit the Valley of Speed, this is our only straightaway on this 8-mile course. Down the Valley of Speed, when they get down to the end of the Valley of Speed, they're going to round pylons 7, 8, and 9, where they have to be above 50 feet but below 250 feet. Very, very close quarters when you're this close to another airplane at 500 miles an hour.
On our big course that Steve just described for you, we're going 6 laps. We're going just under 47 total miles, and it happens really, really quickly here with the jets.
Even though these L-39s are straight wings with no afterburners, they're still covering over 2 football fields per second, Tommy.
Even given all that, the matchup between these two was incredible in the previous race. Their average miles per hour was less than 1/10 of a mile an hour apart. How do you get a matchup like that?
Now keep in mind too that since they are production aircraft, they are very, very close in speed. They can't do a lot of modifications to them because everybody else has already done it. Now you notice these in our silver class, they still have the wing tips on them. In our gold class, you're going to see that they've taken those wing tip tanks off, as some of our aircraft do have here. They'll do anything they can to lighten them up, to make them a little more aerodynamic, but there's not a whole lot they can do with them with a non-afterburning, non-swept wing, straight wing aircraft. The jet class started out as an exhibition race back in 2000. It was actually Jimmy Leeward took on Randy Howell and Jerry Galloud, who were flying as the Stoli MiGs back then. Now we had 3 MiG-17s, swept wing fighters. Again, exhibition only. The FAA said, okay, we'll let you out on the unlimited course to see if it can even be done. The crowd absolutely went crazy. Okay, they had instructions. No afterburners, keep things safe, this is exhibition only. It took about 2 laps before Jimmy Leeward lit up the afterburner. Being as competitive as he is, Randy Howell, the lead for the Stoli MiGs, he lights up his afterburner, and Jerry Galloud, being the great wingman he is, he lights his afterburner to stay with his wingman. After about the 3rd lap in full afterburner, one of my favorite quotes of all time at the Reno Air Races, Jerry Galloud calls Randy up on the radio and says, "Dude, we're gonna run out of gas." The crowd went crazy. The crowd loved it. The FAA, not so much.
Just FYI, we got a great battle for 3rd place there. The blue plane, that's Alexander Ekman from Brazil, going up against Nathan Harnagel. That's race 13, the reality check. Back to the top there, still Bob McCormick trying to get around. Boy, he's He's closing it even more. It couldn't have been closer in the first meeting of these guys here in Reno this week. It is just, it shows no sign of letting up, Steve. These two are determined.
A couple local guys from right here in Reno, they know their way around this course. They're both veterans in the jet class. And again, Jeff Turney better be pedaling pretty quick here because he's got company coming around him on the outside.
All right, the pass may be happening right here. This is a spot where it's likely to happen. And check it out. There goes Bob McCormick. White and maroon plane. We always figure the angles, but I think this is a real pass.
Flying the longer course. I think he's going to do it on Jeffy here. So again, Bob McCormick, Reno pilot, going past another Reno pilot, and Jeff Turney right here in Robin 1. So again, the white and red airplane is solid in the lead now, putting Jeff Turney back in second place.
McCormick now the hunted. He's got a couple of laps left to go.
But Jeff still has that inside line giving him the shorter course, so don't count him out as far as making that pass back. See, he's down low and on the inside. He's forcing Bob McCormick to fly that longer course, which is a huge advantage out here.
Right, if you win this heat right here, you may have, or you will have, the option to move up into the gold class too. So there's more on the line than just Reno bragging rights between these two Reno pilots.
And when you ask why you would do that, because last place in the gold pays more than first place in the silver.
Ah, see, there's another important dimension of it right there. Oh, just the sound is something to drink in here as we watch Bob McCormick slowly, maybe increasing his lead just a little bit, but something tells me Jeff Turney's not through as yet.
But speaking of not through yet, the big battle appears to be back in third place, Tommy.
Absolutely. Alexander Ekman from Brazil, that blue plane right there, trying to hold off race 13, Nathan Harnagel from Texas, and another L39C. And this one has been going on since the second lap, so these guys tit for tat all the way. And still the inside line held by Alexander Ekman for now.
Close enough to throw a blanket over both of them.
Watch David Harnagel. He's got to go up and around. That's the way you have to pass around here. You can't dive inside. So the onus is on him to provide a little bit more horsepower at just the right moment. See if he can get this thing done.
Yeah, staying out of your opponent's blind spot forces you to take a longer, safer route.
These guys have so many things that are going on at once, flying these complicated airplanes. And hold on just a second. Yeah, we had contact there, folks, and Ekman is leaving the race course.
Yeah, our race pilots are some of the most highly trained pilots in the world. They're some of the best pilots in the world. They train at the Pylon Racing School, so should they be involved in a mayday, whether it's solo or contact with another airplane, as what we have here, they're instructed to climb. Altitude is your friend. Climb high, climb fast, get to the center of the race course. That way you've got more choices in runways, as well as a chance for one of our safety pilots to get over and assess the damage on your particular aircraft.
And we watch again and again. We can't take our eyes off that, but we must right now as Bob McCormick made that pass. He successfully negotiates the rest of the race course. So Athena, race number 1, is going to be the winner here. And then we get back to the incident at hand, which has gotten everyone's attention, everyone on their feet watching what the outcome will be. We don't have our planes on the ground just yet.
Yeah, air racing, unlike other motorsports, you do not want to trade paint, as we saw here. Now, just about anybody can land an airplane when everything is on it. It takes the best of the best to land one when it's missing parts.
That is great. That is great news right there to see Alexander Ekman bringing his race 37 down in one piece, and we get a good look at the damage right there, and it's not insignificant, Steve.
No. These airplanes, for as tough as they are in the air, they are very, very susceptible when they make contact with another one.
Now there's Jeff Turney, who just finished in second here. Now he is lending a hand now to Nathan Harnagel because he needs to inspect the landing gear and make sure he can make a safe landing.
Yeah, he's up there assessing any damage that may have happened to Harnagel's airplane to let him know whether he needs to get that airplane away from the crowd and bail, or whether it looks like it's safe to go ahead and bring down in a normal landing configuration, as he's doing now.
As it turns out, planes both back on the ground safely. The pilots are safe, the crews and everything. The best outcome for a tough situation.
Oh, they were just flying very close to each other, and the right wing of the lower jet got into the belly of the number 13 jet just for a split second, and then they both pulled up and departed and made safe landings, thank God. There was emergency landing, but they did good. They're all professionals, and they did a great job.
Well, a great job with all the safety procedures followed as taught in the required pylon racing school during the off-season. But hats off to Bob McCormick, who wins this final heat race and has punched his ticket to the Jet Gold race. That is what we will have. Gold races, national championships will be handed out in all 6 classes as the top pilots in the world compete to secure their place in history. Next time on the STIHL National Championship Air Races, presented by Reno Tahoe.